So welcome everybody to this latest video on 162 Maths, and in this video we'll be going over the AQA Gcse Maths Higher Paper 1 Non-Calculated Paper of June 2020. So let's get started on this paper. So looking at question 1, it says circle the fraction that is equivalent to 4.75. Now 4.75, and that works, so 4.75 is 4 3/4, and then if we convert that into a improper fraction, we've got 4 times 4, which is 16, plus 3, which is 19, over 4. It's going to be our second option. For question 2, it says here is a vector A, and we want to circle the column vector that represents A. Well, looking at this, our first number is that it's going right 3 places and down 2 places. That's -2. So we're looking for 3 minus 2, which is that there. And then moving on to question 3, it says which of these is a square number and a cube number, and you need to circle the right answer, and the correct answer we need to circle is our fourth option. Well, question 4, it says circle the reciprocal of 5/6. Now reciprocal just means 1 divided by. Now if you're not too sure about the rule of the reciprocal of fractions, well, you can just go into just normal division, so 1 divided by 5/6, which then becomes 1 times 6/5, which is just 6/5. The other alternative is when you're doing the reciprocal of a fraction, just simply flip the numbers and you'll get your answer. And the next question then says use trigonometry to work out the sines of angle x. So again, remembering that this is non-calculator, so for this all we need to do then is label the triangle. So here this is going to be our hypotenuse, this is going to be our adjacent, so we're going to be using cos. So what we've got is we've got cos x equals 9/18, which then becomes cos x of 0.5, and remembering your exact values of trig, what is cos of a half? Well, that's going to be cos 60. Then looking at question 6, it says scattergram A and B, and we've got the graphs, and we just need to choose the right correlation for each of these graphs. So this first one here we need to write is strong negative. It's going down. And for graph B, well, that's going to be no correlation. And all you'd need to do is just make sure you write it in those 2 spaces there instead. So looking at question 7, it says here is some information about 80 people who play in bands. It says 12 of them are singers but not guitar players, 30% are neither a singer or a guitar player, a quarter of the guitar players are also singers, and we need to complete the Venn diagram to represent the information. Now in terms of the key bits of information, we know that all of the numbers inside the Venn diagram need to add up to 80. So each of the 4 numbers, so this number here, this number here, this number here, and this number here, need to all add up to 80. Now from this we can see from the first bit of information that 12 are singers but not guitar players, so this here is going to be 12. And it also says that 30% are neither singers or guitar players, so 30% of 80, so then that's going to be 10% of 80 is going to be 8, so then 30% is going to be 24. So that means that this number here is going to be 24. Now looking at this whole circle of G, that this bit here represents a quarter. Now to find out first what the total of that circle is going to add up to, well, for this I just need to do 80 minus 24 minus 12, so that's 80 minus 36, which gives me 44. Now a quarter of 44 is this, and 3/4 of 44 is that bit there. So a quarter of 44 is 11, and a 3/4 of 44 is 33. So if I just make it a little bit neater in terms of the numbers, I should have, just to make it easier for you to see, without rubbing out any of the numbers, get rid of that box there, like so, and we should have 11 there. Moving on to question 8, it says the short side of a parallelogram has a length of 6.5 centimeters. The length of the short side is 1/9 of the perimeter. Work out the length of the longer side. So as this is a parallelogram, this side here is going to be 6.5, and I need to work out what the long length is. Now I'm just going to start by calling it x. So therefore the perimeter of this particular shape is going to be 2x plus 13. Now, how have I done that? Well, it's just x plus 6.5 plus 6.5. Now, it tells us in the answer that the perimeter, the shorter side, is 1/9 of the perimeter. Now, the perimeter is therefore going to be 9 times 6.5, because if 6.5 is 1/9, then to work out the whole of that, we just need to multiply it by 9. Now, 9 times 6.5 is going to give me an answer of 58.5 centimeters. Now, again, all we need to do to work that out is just do 6.5 times 9, and we'd get our 58.5, or whichever way you work with decimals. So what we've worked out is we've got 2x plus 13 equals 58.5. So then taking the 13 over to the side, I get 2x equals, and it's going to be 45.5. And then if I divide 45 by 0.5 divided by 2, that's then going to give me 22.75, my final answer. Again, if you're not too sure how to do that, then just use the bus stop method and you will get that answer. Now, looking at question 9a, it says all of the terms of the geometric progression are positive. The second and term fourth are shown. Work out the first and the third term. Now, with a geometric progression, what we have is that the term to term is being multiplied by r. And we don't know what r is, but in a geometric progression, we are multiplying the previous term by a number to get the next term. So r squared, which is going to be these two here, is going to be the same as 16 divided by 4. So r squared equals 4, so that means r equals 2. So what I'm doing is I'm doubling from each of these numbers. So times 2, times 2, times 2. So 16 divided by 2, if we're going the opposite, it's going to be 8. And 4 divided by 2 is going to be 2. So missing numbers there are going to be 2 and 8. For question 9b, it says that the first two terms of an arithmetic progression are shown. So we've got p plus p and then 5p, and then we don't know what this is. And it says the sum of the first three terms is 90. Work out the value of p. So to get from this first term to our second term, what have we done? Well, we've added 4p. Now, how do I know added 4p rather than multiplied by 5? Is because it's an arithmetic progression, which means that you're adding or taking away one term to another to work out what a number, to work out what the next term is going to be. So that means that the next term therefore is going to be 9p, because again I'm just going to add 4p to that. So here what I've got is I've got p plus 5p plus 9p equals 90, which I've got 15p equals 90. So therefore p is going to equal 90 over 15, which is 6. Then looking at question 10, it says the cost of a holiday is 2,400. Rana pays a deposit followed by monthly payments in the ratio of 3 to 5. She makes 6 equal monthly payments. Work out the monthly payments. So with this, what we want to do first is share 3.5 in the ratio. Well, actually, let's do it the other way around. So share 2,400 in the ratio of 3 to 5. So here I'm going to do 2,400 divided by 8, which is going to give me 300. And so in terms of these two parts, this is the deposit, this is the monthly payment. So I've got 3 times 300, which is 900, and 5 times 300, which is 1,500. So from this, we then got to work out what 6 equal payments are. So what we then need to do is do 6 divided by, not 15,000, be oversight. So we're going to do 6 divided by 1,500. So here we've got 0, and then we've got 2, and then we've got 5. So monthly payments therefore are going to be £250. Moving on to question 11, it says as a decimal, 11 over 40 is 0.275. Work out 33 over 400. Now, in terms of this, we've got 11 over 40, and we want to multiply that by something, so we get 33 over 400. So what do we need to multiply this? Well, to get 33, what do we need to multiply 11? That's going to be 3. And to get 40 to 400, I need to multiply that by 10. So what I need to do then is multiply, well, this number here is 0.275, and this number here is 0.3. So all I then need to do is do 275 times 3. And if I then work that out, so I've got 15, 22, and 8. So it's going to be 825. Now to get from this, I've moved the decimal point 3 places that way and 1 place that way. So I need to move it 4 places in that direction. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So then the answer then is going to be 0.0825. Now working with question 12, it says that 2 wire shapes make an earring. The shape are a circle with a radius of 21 millimeters and a quarter circle. And it says that the radius of the circle is in the ratio to the ratio of the quarter circle is 7 to 2. Show that the radius of the quarter circle is 6 millimeters. So here what we want to do is we've got 21 and we've got the ratio of 7 to 2. Now for this we know that the 7 parts is going to be 21 millimeters. So here I need to multiply that by 3. So therefore, if I multiply that by 3, it's going to give me 6 millimeters. So this acts as my working out. I should write for the 1 mark. Next question then says that the total length of the wire of the earring will work out the length of the wire of the earring. So working this out then. So we know that this length here is 21 millimeters, and we know that this length here is 6 millimeters. Now all I'm going to do for B is I'm actually going to do this over here. Let me just divide this up just because you can see in terms of working with the diagram. So in terms of the large area, so the large circle, well that's simply going to be 42 pi. Then in terms of the quarter circle, well that's going to be, well looking at it's going to be 2 times pi times r divided by 4, so that will give me the arc, and then I need to add that to 12 millimeters. Now in terms of the quarter circle, the r is 6, so it's going to be 6 times 2, which is 12, divided by 4, which is 3, so it's 3 pi plus 12 millimeters. So all I then need to do is just simply add those two up there, so it's going to be 42 pi plus 3 pi plus 12 millimeters, and combining that all up I get 45 pi plus 12, and that's all in millimeters.
Now moving on to question 13a, it says s and t are positive integers, and it says we've got double brackets with the variables of s and minus t inside. It says is expanded to simplified, and the answer is x squared plus kx minus 40, where k is a positive integer. Work out the smallest possible value of k. So the first thing we want to do here is expand these double brackets. So here we're going to get x squared minus tx plus sx minus st. Now if we compare the coefficients, looking at the constant, we can see that minus 40 equals minus st. So let's just write that down here. So we've got minus st equals minus 40. Now to get the constant, what we need to do is just multiply the two numbers inside the brackets together. So what we're looking for are factors and multiples, depending on how you want to look at it, of that equal minus 40. So here we've got 1 and 40, we've got 2 and 20, we've got 4 and 10, we've got 8 and 5, and I believe that is, we've got 16 and, nope, that's it. So here are our 4 factors. Now because k is positive, it means that out of these two numbers, the bigger number has got to be positive. So here we're going to have plus 40, plus 20, plus 10, and plus 8. And because the constant is negative, it means that these numbers are going to be, the smaller numbers are going to be negative. So all that's left for me to then do is to add those two values together, and these are going to be the possible values of k. So minus 1 plus 40 is going to give me positive 39. Minus 2 plus 20 is going to give me positive 18. Minus 4 plus 10 is going to give me positive 6. And minus 5 plus 8 is going to give me positive 3. So the smallest possible value of k is going to be 3.
13b, it says Faisal tries to solve x plus 2, x minus 7 equals 0. Here is his working out, and the question says give a reason as to why his answer is wrong. I can see straight away that this bit here is where it's wrong. So x plus 2 equals 0 gives you an x value of -2, not +2. Now with 14a it says c equals 2 times 10 times 3 times 5 to the power 6. Work out 18c and give your answer as a product of its prime. So to get 18, what we need to do is using these numbers. So 18 equals, and it's going to be 2 times 3 times 3. And then so what we need to then do is 18 times c. So 18 is 2 times 3 squared times c, which we've got 2 to the power of 10 times, oh no, I've got bracket there, so let's get rid of it, times 3 times 5 to the power of 6. So then all we then need to do is use the rules of indices. So I've got 2 times 10 to the power 10, 2 to the power 10, so that's 2 to the power 11. 3 squared times 3 is times 3 cubed, and times 5 to the power of 6. Question 14b says work out the that calculation. So let's have a look at what this all is. Now in terms of this, what you should establish is that to work out the cube root of something, all we need to do is just raise it to a third. So it's going to be 2 to the power of 7 times, oh, no, I've got that 10 from, so let's change that to 11. 11 cubed over 2 to the power of a third. Now when you've got brackets, all we need to do is just multiply out the brackets. So here what we've got is we're going to have 2 to the power of 7 times third, which is 2 to the power of 7 over 3. Then we've got 11 over a third, which is just 11. And then we've got 2 to the power of a third, which is just 2 to the power of a third. Now from this, what we can then do is, well, straight away what I can do actually is, I've just thought of what we could do, which is not scribble all of that, is recognise that the 2 cancels out. So this cancels to make a 6, and that 2 is eliminated. So what I've then got is 2 to the power of 6 times 11 to the power of 3 to the power of a third. 6 times a third is 2 to the power of 2, and 11 cubed to the power of a third. We'd multiply the powers and we get times 11, and so then that's just going to be 4 times 11, which is. Then working with question 15, it says 3x equals a half y. Circle the ratio of x to y. So for this, what we need to do is we can write ratios as fractions. So to get this fraction, what I need to do is take the y over to that side and the 3 over to that side. So what I end up is with a half over 3, which then becomes 1 over 6. So the correct answer is going to be our second option. Question 16 says sequence of numbers that's formed by iterative process, and here we've got our formula, and it says work out the values of u2, u3. So u1 equals 9, so u2 is going to be 4 over the previous term, which is 9, take away 1, which gives me 4 over 8, which equals 0.5. Then for the third term for u3, well, it's 4 divided by the previous term, which is 0.5, minus 1, which is 4 over minus 0.5. How many halves go into 4? That's going to be 8, and it's got minus, so it's going to be minus 8. Then looking at question 17, it says Jim buys a plant of height 20 centimeters. The graph shows how the height of the plant changes in the next 4 days, and the question is asking us to work out the formula for h. Now because it's a straight line graph, we're going to write it in the form of y equals mx plus c. So the first thing we want to do is work out what the gradient is going to be. So for this, what I need to do is pick 2 nice-ish coordinates, which I'll be honest, there really isn't any, but you want ones that are exact. Now it doesn't really matter what side you go for, but I'm going to go for this triangle here. Now that triangle there has got a space of 2, and going up is going to be 6. So here m equals 6 over 2, which equals 3. Now where it crosses the y-axis is at 20, so c equals 20. So in the equation of the line, it's going to be h equals, and it's going to be 3n plus 20. Then looking at question 18, it says solve the simultaneous equation. So for this, now what we want to try and do is rearrange it so that they both look the same. So here we've got 2x plus 4y equals minus 9. And if I rearrange the second equation, if I take the 2y over to this side and the 7 over to that side, I end up with 4x minus 2y equals 7. Now, again, you can choose between either making the x the same or the y is the same. It's entirely up to you. I'm just going to do the top one. So if I multiply that by 2, I get 4x plus 8y equals minus 18. And leave the second equation alone. So I've got 4x minus 2y equals 7. So taking away the two equations, what I end up with is 10y equals, and minus 18 minus 7 is going to give me minus 25. So y equals, and it's going to be minus 2.5. So then using one of the equations, so using, and you go for the easiest one, it doesn't really matter which one you want to go for, so let's go for 2y equals 4x minus 7. Well, 2y is going to be minus 5 equals 4x minus 7. Take the 7 over, so I then get 12. No, I'm not. I'm going to get 2. I get 2 equals 4x, so x equals 0.5. So my two answers then are going to be 0.5 and minus 2.5. And if you want to write as a fraction, then that would be absolutely fine as well. Moving on to question 19, it says circle the expression that is equivalent to x plus 5 over x plus 10. So again, all we need to do here is just look at a common denominator, which in this case is 10. So I need to multiply this first fraction by 2. So that's going to be 2x plus x, which is 3x over 10. And that is our first option. The next question, 28, is work out the value of 7 to the power of 0. Anything to the power of 0 is 1. Then it says work out the value of 32 to the power of minus 3 over 5. Now here, again, there's several options you can do. I'm going to deal with the negative first. So 32 to the power of 3 over 5 and minus 3 over 5 is going to be 32 to 3 over 5, and that's going to be reciprocal. Then dealing with this, now I've got a 5 root to 32, which is, so the fifth root of 32 is 2. So that then becomes 1 over 2 cubed, which then becomes 1 over 8. Then looking at question 21, it says write these numbers in order of size. And again, it's just about estimating. So 2 to the power 1 is roughly 2 to the power of 4, which is roughly 16. Then 47 to the power of 47 over 3, well, that's roughly 48 over 3. So just think about the closest number that goes into 3, and that is going to be, and again I should know this, but let's just quickly do it. It's going to be 16, so that's roughly 16, but that's going to be less than 16, whereas this is going to be more than 16. And then square root of 23 is going to be roughly less than 5, so 3 times a number that's less than 5 is going to give me a number that's less than 15. So looking at this, I can now order these numbers. So looking at our first one, the smallest number is going to be 3 root 23. Our next smallest is going to be 15.6. Our next smallest is going to be 47 over 3. And then the biggest number out of all of those is going to be 2.1 to the power of 4. Just make sure that your 4 doesn't look like 2.14, so just make sure it does look like a power. Then looking at question 22a, it says y is directly proportional to x cubed. When y is 17, x equals 4. Work out the equation connecting y to x. So the first thing we want to do is not do that. So let's just get rid of that. So what we've got is we've got y is directly proportional to x cubed. So we replace the proportional symbol with equals k, and then we substitute our two numbers in to find out what k is. So here we've got 17 equals k times 4 cubed. So then what we've got is we've got 17 equals k times 64. So k equals 17 over 64. So the formula then, using this and this, is going to be y equals 17 x cubed over 64. The next question then says that m is inversely proportional to the root of 4 and the value of r is multiplied by 4. What happens to the value of m? Now if m is inversely proportional to the root of r, then what we get is m equals k over the root of r. Now it then says that r is being multiplied by 4, so we get 4 like that. And so what happens to m? Well, that's going to be divided by, that's going to be, sorry, I've got 4 should be inside. And that square root of 4 then becomes k 2 root r. So what we're doing to m is we're going to be dividing by 2. So that is our third option.
So moving on to question 23, it says ABCD is a quadrilateral. It says prove that ABCD is not a cyclic quadrilateral. Now for this proof question, it's always important that we state a fact to show how we're going to disprove, in this case, that ABCD is not a cyclic quadrilateral. So what we need to say is if ABCD is a cyclic quadrilateral, then opposite angles must add up to 180 degrees. So this is a fact that I'm going to prove. So I need to prove whether this statement is true or false. But we're told it's false, so that's what we need to then go on to. So looking at the opposite angles, I need to know that this angle here plus this angle here adds up to 180, and this angle here plus this angle here must add up to 180. So using BAD and DC or BCD, that those two angles must add to 180, so 4x plus 92 equals 180. So then we can then find the value of x. So here then what we've got is we've got 4x, and then 180 take away 92 is going to give me 88, so x equals 22. So now if that is the case, then so if x equals 22, then x plus 36 plus 5x plus 30. Now if I substitute x equals 22 into them, we'll get 22 plus 36 plus 5 lots of 22, which is 110, plus 30. And if I add that all up, now if this equals 180, then it's going to be a cyclic quadrilateral. So here I've got 22 plus 36, which is 58. And then I've got 110 plus 30, which is 140. And as you can see, those two numbers added together is going to give me 198, which is not 180. So therefore, ABCD is not a cyclic quadrilateral. Now alternately, we could have used the yellow angles to first find out what x is. So here if I did 5x plus 30 plus x plus 36 equals 180, then I get 6x plus 66 equals 180. So 6x is going to equal 180 take away 66, which is 114. And then if I work out what 114 divided by 6 is, so 6 and then 1, 1, 4. So that's going to give me 0, that's going to give me 1, 5, and that's going to give me 9, so x equals 19. So then if I then substitute that into 4x plus 92, I'm going to get 4 lots of 19 plus 92, which is going to give me 84 plus 92, which is not equal to 180. And again, so therefore, it's not a cyclic quadrilateral.
24, it says y is an obtuse angle. Which statement is true? So now for this question, what we need to do is first of all start by drawing the trig graphs for 0 to 180 of both cos and sine. So if I just draw the cos graph, so there's the cos graph, and the sine graph, which I'll just do in a different colour, looks something like and that's between 180 and 90. Just get the other bit. 90 and 90. Now, because y is a obtuse angle, it means that we're looking for between 90 and 180. So as you can see here, that in the sine graph, that y, actually that should be y, not x. Change that. So here y is greater than 0. And for the cos graph, that y is less than 0. So the option then we then want is going to be that sine theta is greater than 0, cos theta is that one, so it's going to be our second option. Now moving on to question 25, is a histogram is drawn to represent the height of a sample of women. 3 of the 4 bars are shown. The bar for 170 to 180 is missing. There are 74 women in the sample. Complete the histogram. So what we need to do first is work out the frequencies for each of these bars. Now how do we do that? Well, the frequency is basically the area of the bar. So what we need to do first is work out the area of this first bar. So that's going to be 5 times 2, which is 10. Then I'm going to do 10 times 3, which is 30. And just get rid of that 10 so it's not confusing. Then for the final bar, we've got 4 times 5, which is 20. So if I add up those numbers, I've got 74 minus 10 minus 30 minus 20. So this becomes 60. So what that then becomes is that the final bar has a frequency of 14. Now from this, what we then need to do is work out the frequency density. So frequency density is equal to the frequency, which is 14, over the class width, which is 10, which then gives me an answer of 1.4. So this bar needs to go to 1.4. So that's going to be the second bar, and I should be using a ruler, but that's where the bar needs to be. So it's basically 2 bars up from 1 and then go from 170 to 80, and that's the bar completed. For question 26a, it says show that 14 over root 7 can be written in the form of a root b, where a and b are integers. So this is rationalising the denominator with surds. So again, with this, all we need to do is multiply both the numerator and the denominator by the denominator. Now it's really important that you do write this, because that will probably count as 1 mark. So from this, what we've got is we've got 14 root 7 over root 49, which then becomes 14 root 7 over 7. Then the 14 and 7 will cancel out, so that becomes 2. So the answer then is 2 root 7. Now, do I need to state what a and b are? No, but if you did, it shouldn't really lose you any marks. Moving on to 26b, it says work out 2 root 10 times root 80 times root 18. Now for this, what you want to do is simplify the surds. So 2 root 10 can't be simplified, so that's just simply 2 root 10. Root 80 can be written as root 16 times root 5, which is 4 root 5. Then with root 18, I can write that as root 9 times root 2, which is 3 root 2. So what this then becomes is 2 root 10 times 4 root 5 times 3 root 2. So if I deal with the numbers inside, well, outside first, I've got 2 times 4, which is 8, times 3, which is 24. And then if I then multiply the surds together, in which I get root of 100. Now root of 100 then therefore becomes 24 times 10. 24 times 10 is 240. So moving on to our next question, question 27, it says A and B are similar solid cylinders. The base of area of A in the ratio of area, the base of area B is in the ratio of 9 to 25. Complete these ratios. So the curved surface area of A and then the height of that as well. Now in terms of scale factors, so if we had an area scale factor, and we've got volume scale factor, and we've got length scale factor. Now in terms of this, we know that our length let's say if our length scale factor is k, then the area scale factor is going to be k squared, and the volume scale factor is going to be k cubed. So for this, in terms of area, now the base area and the surface area, the curved surface area, is going to be exactly the same. So that's still going to be 9/25. Now, in regards to the height, that represents the length. So what I need to do is actually square root 9 and square root 25, which is going to give me an answer of 3 and 5. Now, looking at question 28, it says factorize fully 144 minus 4x squared. Now, this is a dots question, difference of two squares. And it's quite surprising to see this question so late, so there must be a little thing that we do need to bear in mind, but bear in mind that it is 2 marks. So for this, what you've got to do is set up our double brackets and then think to yourself, what do you have to square to get 144? That's going to be 12. And what do you have to square to get 4x squared? Well, that's going to be 2x. One's a plus, one's a minus. It doesn't matter which one's a plus and which one's a minus. However, looking at close inspection, what you can see is that inside each of the brackets, you've got a factor of 2. So this can be factorized as 2, and then we've got 6 minus x and multiplied. And this can also be factorized again as 2x plus 6. Then obviously we can then simplify this by taking the 2's by multiplying them together, so in which we get 4, and it's going to be 6 minus x, 6 plus x, and there we have factorized fully as instructed in the question. Now looking at question 29, it says the graph of y equals x cubed plus 6 is translated 4 units to the right. The translated graph has the equation y equals f of x. Work out f of x, give your answer in this form. Now, if a graph has been translated by 4 units to the right, then basically what that means is we're going to have x then becomes x minus 4. So what we need to do is replace x with x minus 4 in y equals x cubed plus 6. So it's just graph transformation. So if I do that, what I end up with is y equals x minus 4 cubed plus 6. Then if I expand this out, which is going to give me x minus 4, x minus 4, x minus 4. Then if I expand these two things out, well actually let's do the other two first to make it easier. Let's expand these two out. So I end up with x squared minus 8x plus 16, and that's x minus 4. Then if I then expand this out, I get x cubed minus x squared, 8x squared plus 16x, then minus 4x squared plus 32x minus 64, and then collecting all that up, I get minus 12x squared plus, and it's going to be 48x minus 64. Now if I then swap this to this, then what I end up with is x cubed, well, I'll put a bracket there, so let me just get rid of that, x cubed minus 12x squared plus 48x minus 64 plus the 6, and if I just combine those two things together, it should give me my final answer of x cubed minus 12x squared plus 48x, and it's going to be minus 58, and that all equals I. And there we are done. Now we'll put the grade boundaries in the description below so you can see what grade you've attained by working through this individual paper.